We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
Try.
Trial. The stinking Oakland A's lost in Game 5 to the Detroit Tigers. I'm so disappointed. However, I can't say I'm incredibly disappointed. They had an outstanding season for anything they were supposed to accomplish.
Trial.
Hey, fans, it's Sean here from Sackheads Radio. It's October 12th.
Hey, no, we're talking about something very important right now. I'm about to start throwing chairs around the office, but I had to calm myself down and realize that they had a tremendous season.
You know what's
tremendous
funny
run.
Is when I saw that they lost, I actually felt really bad for you. Because I know how excited you were. I know how dialed you were for it. I know we talked about in the show numerous times how a good young team they were.
And they are.
They are still a good young team.
Yeah. They did a great job. So congratulations to the Oakland Athletics for an outstanding season and leading major leagues with most walk-off wins, making a hell of a comeback run in the playoffs, but couldn't hold off Detroit, who played very well. Verlander was
too much.
On fire. Not to mention he was getting a call off the plate outside by that piece of shit umpire. I hope you're listening to our show.
But
what?
Unfortunately, and they do this in MLB all the time, when you're a pitcher of notoriety and you have that kind of a history and you have that kind of record, they give you calls like that.
They do.
And as the opposing team, you have to know that.
And he pitched a hell of a game.
He did. He was just dialed.
I mean, not much you can do with that. So congratulations to the Detroit Tigers.
My condolences to you and all the Tigers fans.
I now have to root for Detroit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they beat the A's. They're a hell of a team.
Trial.
And I hope they can continue on. Hi, this is Clint. Sackheads Radio, Friday. Hey, there's an interesting article. You know the Chinese have an aircraft carrier now?
They do. They bought it from the Russians.
What's that?
If I remember right, they bought it from the Russians.
So it'll be awesome.
And they're in the middle of upgrading it. And I guess it's supposed to be ready to go in a couple of years here, 2014, 15, something like that.
Well, yeah, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it be?
And so that's what they needed was an aircraft carrier. So now they're really ready to get mobile. So that's good.
And if they have one.
Right.
Trial.
I mean.
That means two's on the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's it called? Do you know?
No.
Wow.
I mean, we could make a million jokes right now, but I don't want to alienate our one Asian listener. No. I know you. We could have definitely.
I just didn't know if you knew the name of it.
I don't off the top of my head.
Okay. Have they named it yet, or did they just take?
No, they actually did. I did read the name.
Are they going to name it a Chinese name, or are they going to call it the Provost or whatever? It's some Russian. That's not.
No, it'll be a Provost.
I don't know. It sounds Russian.
No, I think it's going to be. It's definitely going to have a Chinese name. I don't know why they would name it a Russian name.
Well, if they bought it from Russia,
did
they buy it from Russia?
Yeah.
Or did they design it themselves?
What do we call Louisiana?
What? The same name it was when we purchased it.
Okay.
So that's why maybe they would.
Are we China? Just because they own most of our debt doesn't mean we're China yet.
Listen, we didn't change the name of Louisiana or California, right?
Well, we took that, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We should give it back. It's not really ours.
Oh.
We didn't build this country.
Not at all. Gosh. Oh, I should play the clip.
So how are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, I'm excited about a few things, and I want to invite people.
Awesome. So anyways, let's talk about me for a little bit.
I want to invite people.
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
I was about 10 minutes late on it.
You were. Why? What's really?
So what's our biggest news so far?
What, like ever? Like the biggest news we've ever announced ever? The Clint Eastwood movie that should come out.
That was a great, and that was on one of our old
that was one of our
podcast shows.
first, like, 15-minute.
We may have to revisit that live on the air.
It was horrible.
We're going to be moving.
It was horrible.
What?
It was like the second or third show we did.
No, it was
20 minutes.
But you know what? The content was good. It was just awful. If that makes sense.
It was kind of like Biden. The content was there, but it was just awfully presented.
Right. Samuel Whittemore was the title of that episode, and if you look through our iTunes, it's on there.
It was one of our badasses of America.
We got to do another one soon.
Another badass in American
Yeah,
history.
that's
You want to do it right now?
No. I just don't want to.
I was going to throw the USS Constitution out there.
Yeah, but
Old Ironsides.
No, we'll do a whole segment on it. Why don't we do that? Why don't we look for that in the next few weeks?
You know, because you're from the area, that ship is actually still in.
I've been on it numerous times. I have an old judge's gavel, true story, that a friend of my father who was a judge, when he retired, gave it to my father as a gift. My father retired. The judge gave it to him. Okay. The gavel is made from the original main beam of the Constitution.
That's awesome.
The main, not beam.
Mast?
Mast. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's actually hanging up in my bar at home as we speak. Because
that's a proper place for a gavel made from original.
And I won't say the judge's name, but if you knew the judge, it would be even more fitting. So.
Now, do you have some kind of certificate to say that gavel is made from that wood?
I don't have a certificate because it was actually a handmade gift. That the mast was discarded. A woodsman got it, made the gavel for this judge. The judge gave it to my father.
Wow.
Kind of cool. It's a piece of history that I'll have forever.
Yeah, no, that's
so,
awesome.
And it's not at all waterlogged, so that's good.
The coolest piece of history I have is like a piece of German flak that my great uncle pulled out of his seat in a B-17 flying over.
That is a cool piece of history.
I just said it was cool.
Oh, I thought you were being sarcastic.
No.
All right, well, don't yell at me. So the phone number is 347-205-9399.
I don't want to.
What is the coolest thing that you have that somebody's ever gave you? Herpes is not a good answer.
I didn't say that was the coolest thing that I have, but I am not willing to go on air and say that's the coolest thing.
Well, no, it's the coolest historical piece. That's a cool historical piece.
It is.
So
it is.
But our big announcement. Let's get back to that. We're finally moving to a new studio. We're getting out of this guy's garage.
We don't even know who this guy is. That's the best part.
Listen, he's nice enough to leave the door partially open every night.
Yeah, but it's to let his dogs in and out. I mean, it's not for us to go in.
Yeah, but nobody bothers us because the dogs are here.
It's true.
We are upgrading from our makeshift
studio. We don't even know
studio.
the dog's name. We renamed him.
Yeah, Hank and Splits.
Yeah.
And Splits has an appropriate name.
Splits is a German Shepherd, so it sounds German and he can do it. Anyways, it's kind of bizarre.
So we're moving from our first studio. It'll be a little sad, but we're going to be moving to the official Sackheads Radio lair.
It can't be the lair. This is
the
lair.
It'll have to be the bunker.
I don't know. We'll have to.
You know what? Why don't we have our listeners try to help name us?
They won't even send us a stinking picture. You think they're going to help?
Email us, fanmail@sackheadsradio.com, and come up with a good new name for our new studio. We will be moving in next week. The soundboard's in. The new mics are in. We're moving on up. And that was one of the other sounds I was going to have was the moving on up thing from the Jeffersons. But because we're in the old studio and nothing works right, I couldn't get any of my sounds right tonight. That was my little joke for that. So that's good news. I'm kind of excited about that.
I'm a lot excited about that. Is that even a lot excited? Can you be a lot excited?
We are. And we're even going to start doing live webcams. Not of us.
That's going to be scary.
Not of us.
What are we going to have at the local strip club?
No, there's a mouse hole in the corner.
Okay.
And he's the coolest little mouse ever. I've never seen somebody disarm a mouse trap. He's like Jerry. So I'm going to keep it on him.
Jerry like a German soldier?
Tom and Jerry.
Or Jerry.
We talked about this, why he's named Jerry.
We did.
We did talk about that.
So I threw that out.
Okay.
So is that his name, Jerry?
Yeah, it should be the mouse's name, Jerry.
Sackhead Jerry.
Sackhead Jerry. And he's welcome in as, all level-headed people are. Brutus?
Yeah.
Are we going to get to any content tonight?
This is content.
You keep hijacking.
This is content. Or Maximus.
I like Maximus. Let's go with Maximus. Sackhead Maximus.
Or Liberty.
No, it's a male. If it was a female, I'd go Saskatchewan. So we are moving to the new studios. Once we get settled, we'll take some pictures and put it up. We're pretty excited about it, and that's going to happen this week.
And when we do get set up, we'll have a show for you. So thanks for listening.
Hey, we almost didn't have a show tonight because we're in this dump.
Well, that and your drunk.
Sorry, George is going to be really mad that I called his garage a dump. But
George is probably not a listener.
I mean, the door doesn't even, the lock
doesn't
even work.
Right there. George
So,
does not listen to Sackheads Radio.
Two big news of the week is going to be the
new segment, Two Big News of the Week.
Two big news
I
of the week.
like it.
Maybe we'll start using that. The two big stories of the week, obviously the Libya hearings.
Hang on a second. I cannot get into content yet.
Why?
I'm so relaxed still. Listen, I've been listening to reggae for like the last 3 days because I finally discovered that Pandora app on my new phone.
Russo wants to know if the flak that hit your uncle's plane, was it in his seat or his actual seat?
It went through his seat into his seat.
So,
and I have his, I don't know if it was from that mission, but I actually have his Distinguished Flying Cross that he got with his citations. He's got some signed letters from Hap Arnold. And some cool history. He was one of those people that kept every scrap of paper from the war. So I literally have his officer's mess card from when he went through bombardier school. I have his paperwork from when he was stationed at Kim Bolton Airfield in England.
So a true hero.
Yeah, I have a ton of stuff. I mean, documentation. I can trace his whole career, and he never had any kids or anything like that. So. I am the family trustee for all of that.
Well, I thank him for his service. I know he's no longer with us, but it's still an amazing story.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, now I'm all sad.
I know.
So anyhow.
Anyways, why did you go get me off the press? Thanks for asking, Rooster, but that's kind of the story behind that. And then my brother actually has a cool piece of family history. He has my grandfather's 45 that was issued to him as an officer, and my grandfather was in Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941 when it was attacked. So he was at Wheeler Field during the time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
There's some in the family, but I haven't got it yet because everyone keeps living.
Damn it.
I joke. Not really. So the two big stories of the week, obviously, a ton has come out about Libya. And we're going to talk about that here shortly. And obviously the VP debates were last night. Little forewarning now, I don't have the audio that we normally have for our clips because we're in this lousy studio.
And we're in the process of switching over.
Yeah, no, everything's half over there and half over there.
Half over where and half over where?
Half at the new studio and half here. We literally have just enough left in here to do tonight's show.
So is the king coming?
We apparently have
sound.
What are you doing?
I thought the king was on the way.
Why don't we do this? Because I don't...
You are so fun right now.
You know, I try to have moments with you, and we try to... You know, we don't try. We stopped trying a while ago. That's great. We've both been about an hour late on our little sound bites tonight, so that's pretty cool. Well, you want to take a break?
Hell no, I'm having too much fun.
All right, fine.
It's been a break for the last, 15 minutes. Yeah, let's take a break, come back. We'll get to the show, folks. Thanks for listening.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. You want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis? That is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. Good? You said mention you, right?
Oh.
You totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Hey, welcome back. This is Clint, and Sean is...
Wow.
I don't know where Sean is. I think he's probably refilling his coffee with some Irish whiskey. But we're going to play a sound clip for you.
Did I miss anything?
No.
Okay,
you're
good.
fine. How you feeling? How's your coffee?
Awesome.
Perfect. Hey, we're going to play a clip for you. I'm not going to set it up at any more than that, tell you what it is or when it's from. I'd just like you to take a listen and discuss it when we come back. Thank you.
Mr. Tripp, Mr. Rockefeller, General Clay, gentlemen. I feel tonight somewhat like I felt when I addressed in 1960 the Houston Ministers' Conference on the separation of church and state. But I'm glad to have a chance to talk to you tonight about the advantages of the free enterprise system. Less than a month ago, this nation reminded the world that it possessed both the will and the weapons to meet any threat to the security of free men. The gains we have made will not be given up, and the course that we have pursued will not be abandoned. But in the long run, that security will not be determined by military or diplomatic moves alone. It will be affected by the decisions of finance ministers, as well as by the decisions of secretaries of state and secretaries of defense, by the deployment of fiscal and monetary weapons, as well as by military weapons, and above all, by the strength of this nation's economy, as well as by the strength of our defenses. You will recall that Chairman Khrushchev has said that he believed that the hinge of world history would begin to move when the Soviet Union outproduced the United States. Therefore, the subject to which we address ourselves tonight concerns not merely our own well-being, but also very vitally the defense of the free world. America's rise to world leadership in the century since the Civil War has reflected more than anything else our unprecedented economic growth. Interrupted during the decade of the 30s, the vigorous expansion of our economy was resumed in 1940 and continued for more than 15 years thereafter. It demonstrated for all to see the power of freedom and the efficiency of free institutions. The economic health of this nation has been and is now fundamentally sound. But a leading nation, a nation upon which all depend, not only in this country but around the world, cannot afford to be satisfied, to look back, or to pause. On our strength and growth depends the strength of others, the spread of free world trade and unity, and continued confidence in our leadership and our currency. The underdeveloped countries are dependent upon us for the sale of their primary commodities and for aid to their struggling economies. In short, a prosperous and growing America is important not only to Americans. It is, as the spokesman for 20 Western nations in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, as he stressed this week, of vital importance to the entire Western world. In the last 2 years, we have made significant strides. Our gross national product has risen 11%, while inflation has been arrested. Employment has been increased by 1.3 million jobs. Profits, personal income, living standards, all are setting new records. Most of the economic indicators for this quarter are up, and the prospects are for further expansion in the next quarter. But we must look beyond the next quarter, or the last quarter, or even the last 2 years. For we can and must do better, much better than we have been doing for the last 5.5 years. This economy is capable of producing without strain 30 to 40 billion more than we are producing today. Business earnings could be 7 to 8 billion higher than they are today. Utilization of existing plant and equipment could be much higher, and if it were, investment would rise. We need not accept an unemployment rate of 5% or more, such as we have had for 60 out of the last 61 months. There is no need for us to be satisfied with a rate of growth that keeps good men out of work and good capacity out of use. The Economic Club of New York is, of course, familiar with these problems. For in this state, the rate of insured unemployment has been persistently higher than the national average, and the increases in personal income and employment have been slower here than the nation as a whole. You have seen the tragedy of chronically depressed areas upstate, of unemployed young people, and I think this might be one of our most serious national problems, unemployed young people. Those under 20, 1 out of 4 are unemployed, particularly those in the minority groups, roaming the streets of New York and our other great cities, and others on relief at an early age, with the prospect that in this decade we will have between 7 and 8 million school dropouts, unskilled, coming into the labor market at a time when the need for unskilled labor is steadily diminishing. And I know you share my conviction that proud as we are of its progress, this nation's economy can and must do even better than it has done in the last 5 years. Our choice, therefore, boils down to one of doing nothing and thereby risking a widening gap between our actual and potential growth in output, profits, and employment, or taking action at the federal level to raise our entire economy to a new and higher level of business activity. If we do not take action, those who have the most reason to be dissatisfied with our present rate of growth will be tempted to seek short-sighted and narrow solutions to resist automation, to reduce the work week to 35 hours or even lower, to shut out imports, or to raise prices in a vain effort to obtain full capacity profits on undercapacity operations. But these are all self-defeating expedients which can only restrict the economy, not expand it. There are a number of ways by which the federal government can meet its responsibilities to aid economic growth. We can and must improve American education and technical training. We can and must expand civilian research and technology. One of the great bottlenecks for this country's economic growth in this decade will be the shortages of doctorates in mathematics, engineering, and physics. A serious shortage with a great demand and an undersupply of highly trained manpower. We can and must step up the development of our natural resources. But the most direct and significant kind of federal action, aiding economic growth, is to make possible an increase in private consumption and investment demand, to cut the fetters which hold back private spending. In the past, this could be done in part by the increased use of credit and monetary tools. But our balance of payments situation today places limits on our use of those tools for expansion. It could also be done by increasing federal expenditures more rapidly than necessary. But such a course would soon demoralize both the government and our economy. If government is to retain the confidence of the people, it must not spend more than can be justified on grounds of national need or spent with maximum efficiency. And I shall say more on this in a moment. The final and best means of strengthening demand among consumers and business is to reduce the burden on private income and the deterrence to private initiative which are imposed by our present tax system. And this administration pledged itself last summer to an across-the-board, top-to-bottom cut in personal and corporate income taxes to be enacted and become effective in 1963. I'm not talking about a quickie or a temporary tax cut, which would be more appropriate if a recession were imminent. Nor am I talking about giving the economy a mere shot in the arm to ease some temporary complaint. I am talking about the accumulated evidence of the last 5 years that our present tax system, developed as it was in good part during World War II to restrain growth, exerts too heavy a drag on growth in peacetime, that it siphons out of the private economy too large a share of personal and business purchasing power, that it reduces the financial incentives for personal effort, investment, and risk-taking. In short, to increase demand and lift the economy, the federal government's most useful role is not to rush into a program of excessive increases in public expenditures, but to expand the incentives and opportunities for private expenditures.
Well, that just proves that Biden was wrong. Paul Ryan is like Kennedy after all.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
I didn't realize Kennedy was a Republican.
Oh, no.
He was a
traditional Democrat.
Traditional Democrat.
With an amazing accent, I might add. I don't know why I'm so partial to it.
So back then, Democrats weren't hijacked by the progressive movement, and they actually made sense.
No, exactly. You could have an intelligent argument with them. During the debates, they didn't just sit there and smile and laugh and kind of make fun of you because, well, frankly, they could. And you didn't have somebody like Martha Raddatz who allowed it to go on.
Like Biden.
You know, and the difference in I saw between the VP debate and the presidential debate, because everyone kind of gave Jim Lehrer in the presidential debate a little bit of grief for letting Romney kind of step over Obama a few times. It wasn't done the same way that Obama did. And at the end of the day, just like with Biden did in the VP, Obama talked longer, second per second, than Romney did. Romney, when he interrupted, it was usually at the end of the comment, and it was to respond to something that was pretty much an outright lie or exaggeration. It wasn't just, Biden was just interrupting. And he was saying things like, oh, come on, or oh, God, you're killing me.
Or like, malarkey.
That was malarkey.
Or my friend.
Yeah, well.
Very condescending tone.
Funny you should say that. Rooster made that joke in the chat room already. How are you doing, my friend?
And he also, I mean, that's the smiling and the condescending.
God.
Honestly, I think
it was like I was up there.
If Biden would have stowed all of that, just kept all of that in check, and he would have been able just to maintain his points, his talking points, whatever he wanted to throw out. And granted, the White House had to start backtracking over some of his facts that he threw out. But
they started immediately.
But as soon as I'm talking just for purposes of the debate, while he was talking, because let's face it, a lot of people are not going to be paying attention to what Jay Carney is doing to know that the stuff that Biden threw out was a bunch of crap.
Absolutely.
So he would have done better in the debate had he just been able to control himself and conduct himself in a respectful, appropriate manner and present the quote-unquote facts, whatever, as he did. I think that the debate would have pushed, given more of a push to the Obama administration than the Romney-Ryan ticket. I think it would have been better because the substance of it or what he was saying, although some of it was crap, it sounded good coming out.
Yeah.
It was his conduct that was poor.
Well, he was pushing through the typical agenda of the administration. He wasn't saying anything groundbreaking.
No, but how he presented it after Obama's dismal performance, I mean, he presented himself. He could have presented himself in a very positive manner and even being a little aggressive, but he didn't. He came across as overly aggressive, condescending, just a jerk. He seemed like a jerk.
One of the great lines that Paul Ryan used to said, "Hey, I know you're under a lot of duress to make up for lost ground, but I think people would be better served if we don't interrupt each other."
Oh, I thought one of the best lines was when he told them, "Well, you know how it is when people when referring to Romney's 47%." Well, you know how that is
when people take you out of context and you say something you don't really mean, or you say something how you don't really mean it.
Yeah,
that's what one of my favorite comments of last night too was Biden saying, "Hey, I always say what I mean." Really? So they are going to put you all back in chains? I mean, which one is it? Which Joe Biden? Somebody equated. Have you ever seen the?
I think the problem is he was sober last night.
Yeah. No, I think he was either sober or past the point where he was funny drunk uncle. Like he was. I used to think that he was just kind of a goofy, loud guy that sometimes overstepped what he should be saying.
See, everybody says he's a super nice guy. Like on a personal, he's the kind of guy.
I've decided I think he's a jerk. I think he's a douchebag.
Really? Just because of how he conducted himself?
That's very telling. The pressure's on. Who people really are comes out when the pressure's on. The pressure was on him last night.
See, I'm going to disagree with you.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to disagree with you, and I don't know the man personally, but everybody on both sides of the aisle, there are several people that have said that he is a genuine nice guy. He would give you the shirt off his back. I think he's been in politics for how long, 117 years? Or something like that. Wasn't he like Andrew Jackson's campaign manager? I think.
Yeah, something like that. Jackson or.
Yeah, I don't know. But he's been in politics forever, and he understands how the game is played. So I think he was sent out by the Obama team to come out and be a bully, and I think he took that a little too far. I disagree that he is just a jerk. I don't think this one instance qualifies him as instant jerk status on a personal level. Just there's too many people that say, yeah, he's a nice guy. He would give you the shirt off his back. I mean, he would sit down and just have a beer with the guy. So I think he was sent out to do a job. He did it. It was a little bit over the top in how he conducted himself, and I think it turned a lot of people off. And let's face it, nobody's going to be listening to this show, really, so what I say is not mattering right now. I think the other thing that Ryan could have done better is Ryan came across as a nice guy. He presented his arguments very well. Biden hit him when he said, hey, you wrote me a letter when you wanted stimulus money for your district.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hey, I didn't know that. Real good. And I think at that point Ryan would have said, well, yeah, your party forced it down everybody's throat.
Well, like
now I kind of,
His response was decent. He said, hey, it's my job to lobby on behalf of my constituents. I had 2 constituents that wanted that money. Just because I don't agree to it doesn't mean that it's not.
Problem is the verbiage in the letter, according to it, was, oh, this will help create jobs and blah, blah, blah.
Well, and again, but I have a hard time with that because Joe said, well, I wish I could show it, but I can't because of what it is and blah, 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 blah. So it kind of makes you wonder how.
But Ryan didn't deny it.
No, he didn't deny it.
You look at how he presented himself, and when he came out with that, he didn't say, no, that letter didn't say that. He was very reserved, on his heels. He was on his back. So you know what? He could
have very well said it.
Yeah, his body language told me that he wasn't in a strong denial mode. He wasn't like, no, that's not what it says. He was just very quiet, very taken aback by it. But I think that Paul Ryan could have very easily said, with all due respect, Mr. Vice President, you're over there rolling your eyes, you're smiling, you're being very condescending and disrespectful, and I'm treating you with respect and dignity. I would appreciate the same in return. We can have an adult, intelligent conversation about the issues and have a debate that's worthy of the office that I am seeking and the office that you hold, and debate the issues and still respect each other. And I think if he would have done that, it would have been a moment where do you recall when George W. Bush was having the debate with Al Gore? And Al Gore did this thing where he would come up and he'd try and stand close to the person he was debating with, almost to try and bully them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Bush had practiced this, and as soon as Gore did that, Bush looked at him, kind of gave that half smile that Bush does, and gave him a nod and continued right on with his point. Just completely shut Gore down.
No, absolutely.
And Gore lost the debate at that point and looked like the biggest knucklehead on earth. And I think that Paul Ryan could have had that moment. And if you recall, Gore in the next debate with Bush agreed with a lot of what Bush was saying. So Bush controlled that debate as well. I think Paul Ryan could have very easily controlled Biden just by making a simple statement like that. And I was disappointed that he never did. I was waiting for him to do it because I think Biden would have been hit by that. He wouldn't have been able to do it again. He'd practiced this whole persona. Now he's called out on it. I think he would have been lost for the whole debate, and Ryan failed to kind of take advantage and capitalize on it.
Well, I think Ryan went with the whole I'm going to be the nice guy, and I'm going to show that I'm a mature individual.
But what's wrong with saying, hey, with all due respect, we can debate this.
Well, and I think when he said that,
that's not being a jerk.
I think when he said the comment about, I know you're under a lot of duress, blah, 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 I think
wasn't hard enough.
I agree it wasn't hard enough, but I think that's what he's getting at. I think at the end of the day, I think Joe Biden came out as the bulldog, which he was expected to. Everyone saw it coming. Everyone knew he was going to. I think Ryan's whole thing was to come out and be a gentleman.
I think my audio came out. He came out as the what? The bull?
Dog.
Oh, okay.
Bulldog. I think he came out and went the gentleman route. And a lot of people, there was a CNN poll that said that Ryan won. There was another popularity type poll that said, if you were picking either one or the other as president, which one are you picking? A lot of people were saying Ryan just because he was calm. He did have a good demeanor. He wasn't a jerk when he probably should have been. And I say this, you and I, we watch politics a lot. We read into this. And just our persona, we have a tendency to think that people should be a little bit more hard edge.
I'd have told Biden to go screw himself.
Yeah, I would have told him to sit on it and spin. That's just me, though.
Oh, you would have had him spin, too.
Yeah.
See, I probably just would have had him sit on it. I wouldn't have had him spin yet, but you're a little more harsh than I am.
But, but I think that's what he was going, and I think it worked. I think one of the things that you have to understand, too, is you and I are going to vote based on policy. You and I are going to vote based on – we're not going to buy into the rhetoric of either side. We're going to essentially try to follow the facts and go from that. That comes part of us investigating it, if you will, the politics that we discuss.
Yeah,
I think the average person who turns on a debate that hasn't really followed anything, kind of has an idea of what's going on, but especially with Paul Ryan, that's his first big stage. I mean, that's real. I mean, he's announced, and he's been in a couple things, and he's been a congressman for a long time. But this was his first big front and center. Here you are. You're Paul Ryan. You have to represent the Romney-Ryan ticket. Go. A lot of people are meeting him for the first time, and the way I look at a VP debate is you're voting if the person who gets elected doesn't make it, this person's the heartbeat away. And I think that he knew that going into it, and he wanted to be that guy where people said, yeah, you know what? If Romney-Ryan goes in and God forbid something happens and he has to step up, he can handle it. He can handle the pressure of somebody nattering in his ear. He can handle the pressure of a tough decision. Absolutely, yeah. Did he get pushed on a couple issues? Sure he did.
So, but that's expected in a debate. No
Yeah.
side is perfect, so I would absolutely expect both sides to be hit on issues. So let me ask you this: Do you believe then that he should not have said, "Hey, your demeanor is kind of beneath the office that you hold and that I'm seeking, and we can debate this respectfully, sir"? I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's kind of like you're out to dinner with your family and somebody is or loud in the theater, something like, "Hey, sir, we're trying to enjoy the
I agree with you.
Mind, please."
I agree.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But I also think, too, though, that the average person watching, and it could have been a brilliant move on Ryan, too, by turning around and saying, you know what? Look at what a jerk this guy is. And you're going to vote for him? Really? He's not making any sense. He knew he was going to have to walk back half of his comments, which he's already doing. So I don't think he was worried about the content of his comments. He was letting his personality go. He's cocky. He's condescending.
Okay, all politicians at that level, I believe, are going to be cocky or have some level of cockiness or confidence. They have to.
I agree, but there's a difference between being confident and cocky and being a douchebag and cocky.
See, I think I honestly believe, because I haven't seen Joe Biden act that way before. So,
well, the Geritol may not have kicked in. I don't know.
I don't know either. Maybe his Depend was leaking. I don't know. Maybe his walker lost one of those tennis ball things on the bottom, and he tripped on the way in. No, I think that because I haven't seen that a lot from Joe Biden, I have to. At this point, I'm drawn to the conclusion that his party set him out to do a job.
Oh yeah,
he was a little bit overzealous in doing what he was told to do, and this is kind of where it was. I don't believe necessarily that it's a reflection of his entire personality, and I think you and I differ on that.
Yeah,
I think
it was him. I think this was the real him.
It's okay. You're entitled to be wrong.
I think this is his. I have to do it now or never. And I think he was trying. No, I think this was Slackjaw Joe. I think that was his. This is my now or never. I have to stand up for my guy. I have to stand up for my site. I got to throw out all the stuff.
So you're saying you think that's his real personality?
But I think that was his real personality.
Okay.
Because a lot of his stuff that's off script, he's kind of like the president. When he's off script and he says things on his own, he puts his foot in his mouth.
He swears, but he's not like a complete disrespectful jerk.
They're going to put you all back in chains. If he had said that last night with the tone that he was using, imagine the backlash.
I think that's political rhetoric. I think he said that to start the reaction. I'm not agreeing with him. I completely disagree with Joe Biden.
Hey, he said it himself, though. He says what he means. I always say what I mean.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, let's take him at his word. He's a douchebag. Right? I mean, how can you, if we're supposed to take him at his word, and he says, I always say what I mean.
Okay, so then you think that he believes that Republicans really want to put black people back in chains, correct?
Yeah. At this point, I might as well.
You honestly believe that?
I honestly believe
that. Do you honestly believe that he thinks that the Republicans want to put them back in chains?
He might. At this point.
So you think that he believes the Republican Party wants to reinstitute slavery in America?
I don't think anything's off the table with him.
You're dodging the question. I'm asking you a very direct question right now.
Of course I don't. That was rhetoric.
Therefore, that was rhetoric. Therefore, you just said yourself, we cannot obviously then take him at his word like he said, because he was obviously full of trash when he said that.
No. Listen,
let's try.
I'm not going to give in to this because it's not going to happen. No, I think this was the real Joe that we saw out there.
Okay.
I think Joe one-on-one's probably a really nice guy.
But then that can't be the real person.
No. All right, how about the real Joe politics?
But that's what I was saying. He sent out to do a job. Listen, Obama, you can't walk this comment back.
Fine, you know what? I stand by my comment. Biden's a douchebag. No, screw it. I always say what I mean. Biden's a douchebag. He acted like a stuck-up, immature little bastard last night.
Now, he did. But now I just presented a case to you and evidence to show where maybe that's not the case, and this was for political reasons. And you started to respond to the facts and say that maybe it was for political purposes. And now you're going to be stubborn when the sackheads always respond to the facts, and we're not above changing our position when shown a different way.
But that was my position.
Are you being stubborn and refusing?
No.
Okay.
I'm speaking from the heart. I think Joe Biden's a bastard. I think he's a douchebag bastard. I think that he took last night's opportunity to be a scumbag, and he ran with it.
Okay.
If he'd come out, he could have had those the snarky comments here and there, and he could have said the things. And like I said, if he did it with candor and he did it with respect.
Well, if that's really him, he did it with candor.
Well, that's the problem is, maybe he just doesn't have that internal filter. Right.
He doesn't. We know he doesn't based upon his comments.
Right. So
when he's sent out to do a job by the party,
he is a douchebag then.
You don't have a filter half the time either.
But I'm not the vice president. Nobody would ever put me in that position. So based on your thing, if he has no filter, then he is a loud douchebag that says what he means.
He's not necessarily a douchebag, and we both just established that he doesn't always say what he means.
No, I think I have changed my tone. I think he is a douchebag. Okay. I think that was the real Joe Biden we saw last night. I really do.
I disagree. I think he was set out to do a job. I think politically that's what he was doing. I let you go on your rant.
There's a great clip of him.
Joe, stop interrupting.
Hey, Biden, knock it off. No, Biden, knock it off.
Listen, Obama, knock it off.
I'm just standing here and smiling.
Unplug your microphone.
I'm just going to say, how are we going to do that? I run the board. You don't have shit.
I don't even know what the board looks like, to be honest.
No, there's a great clip of him like 2 years ago where he's coming out of a press conference and a reporter asked a question. I don't even know what the question is, but Biden didn't like the question and he started snapping at him.
Really?
Like in a jerky way. Instead of being like, hey, I'm not going to answer that question, man, and keep walking. He was like, really? Bumpy. You're going to ask me that? Blah, blah, blah. And he, started to get hyped until one of his people was like, oh, no, people are recording you. You got to go.
Where was that? Where's the clip?
I'll find it for next week. I don't have it right now.
Oh, so you're just doing research?
I
saw on douchebaggy Biden stuff?
I searched douchebag and it came up.
Okay.
No, I saw it like 2 or 3 months ago.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's weird because I didn't expect that because much like you, I just think that he's an unfiltered, loud man.
I honestly believe that because, and again, I could be wrong.
But I think either that or he's...
I don't believe he's a complete douchebag as an individual person because I haven't seen him act that way enough. I've seen him conduct himself. Granted, he gets off script and he puts his foot in his mouth. He's a mess, but he's not a complete rude, overbearing asshole that I've seen really before. Now, granted, everybody has their moments.
Yes. Don't we all?
Exactly. And just because he's vice president doesn't mean I don't expect him not to have his moments or whatever. I disagree with how he conducted himself.
I totally disagree.
And whether he was sent out to do that and act that way for political reasons, and that's how he conducted himself, I completely disagree with. He could have said as the vice president, hey, listen, how you're asking me to act is beneath the dignity of my office, and I will go out there and make a hard case, but I'm not going to conduct myself in that manner or to that extreme. I think he absolutely should have done that, and he failed to do so.
Well, and here is...
in this case, but I'm not going to say that him like that here.
There was one point where he was trying to find a word that he couldn't say, and his response to one of the Ryan statements, I don't even know which one it was, but he said, hey, you know what, that's a bunch of stuff. And Martha Raddatz said, what does that mean, a bunch of stuff? And he kind of stopped for a minute because he wanted to say that's a bunch of shit. And
I wish he would have.
And he said, well, that's just simply inaccurate. That's unfiltered Biden.
I love it.
That's fine. But the rest of, his persona, the laughing, the oh God interruptions.
That was crap.
Oh God. I think that's who he is. I think when the pressure's on.
All right. We disagree on that. I think you and I both agree that was crap how he conducted himself. You think that's really him? I think he was doing that, acting to that extreme inappropriately, but I think he was tasked to do that.
Well, and there are people that agree with you. Like I said, though, a lot of people...
Yeah, most people agree with me, and there may be one that agrees with you. That's cool.
A lot of people are coming out, though, saying that, Ryan looked more gentlemanly. He looked more statesmanlike.
Yep, he absolutely did.
Like I said, he's won a couple of early polls. So, maybe I'm wrong, but, it doesn't happen often. So, whatever.
More often than when I'm wrong. Anyways, let's take a break.
All right.
When we come back, more on the debate, and we're going to get into Libya also, because at the first part of the debate, there was a question that was asked, and it was addressed by the vice president, and we need to get into that. So.
Phone number is 347-205-9399. If you want to call and join the discussion, we'll be back in a minute here on Sackheads Radio.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. You want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis? That is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. Is that good? You said mention you, right?
Oh.
So you totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
And we are back. No.
Because I totally just...
I love playing this game with you. We are back. Phone number is 347-205-9399. We are live on the air, my friend.
Yes!
We are going to move into Libya here for the second part of the hour, and that's probably going to take up the whole thing. I know we have calls on hold. We will get to them. There's a commercial I want to play you, though. There's a gentleman by the name of...
Hang on, is it from that Hungarian billionaire?
Yeah.
George Soros?
No.
What?
I know you would think so.
There's another billionaire from Hungary that's making election videos here for the United States?
Yeah.
Why do these Hungarian billionaires have... What? I don't understand.
They just don't have enough time.
No. But he lives in America now.
Right. He was born in Hungary, and I'm looking for the clip.
He was born in Hungary? Or
he was born in Hungary.
In Hungary. Okay. Sorry, your accent.
His name is Thomas Petterfee. He was born in...
Does not sound like a Hungarian name.
Well, he is. I don't know. Maybe he changed it when he came here.
Okay.
But he immigrated from Hungary. Just listen to the commercial.
Me or them?
Them.
Okay, we'll play it.
I'm playing it.
I don't hear it.
I don't hear it either. Hold on, I thought I was playing it. Give me a second to cue it up.
I grew up in a socialist country, and I have seen what that does to people. There is no hope, no freedom, no pride in achievement. The nation became poorer and poorer, and that's what I see happening here. As a young boy, I was fantasizing about one day going to America, making a success of myself, the American dream. America's wealth comes from the efforts of people striving for success. Take away their incentive with bad-mouthing success, and you take away the wealth that helps us take care of the needy. Yes, in socialism the rich will be poorer, but the poor will also be poorer. People will lose interest in really working hard and creating jobs. I think this is a very slippery slope. It seems like people don't learn from the past. That's why I'm voting Republican and putting this ad on television. I'm Thomas Peterfi, and I'm responsible for the content of this advertising.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's a pretty moving, and I know there are a bunch of people that's going to say it's like super PAC done, and he really paid this money on his own. I heard that from Sarah Marie Brenner on the Brenner Brief, and I thought it was important to play. Immigrated from Hungary when the communists were in charge in the 50s. Came here, started his own business. He eventually bought himself a seat on the stock exchange. He owns Interactive, I can't remember the name of the company. It's like Interactive Investments. He's an investment broker, and he's made a fortune. And, you know, it's one of those things, I see it on Twitter when I've seen a couple people who lived under the communist regime and lived in socialism and communism. And they say all the time, we're going down that road. You have to see it. You have to know it's coming. You have to be careful. You don't want to go there. You know, there's Gabby Hoffman who's on Twitter, and she's a big GOP tweeter. But her parents grew up in communist Russia. You know, and she sometimes relays stories, little statements from her parents, and she's like, hey, you know, they're right there. And we saw what had happened once. This country demanded that it ended, and it ended, and now we're starting to go down that same path. It's dangerous. So I thought that was worth hearing. I thought that was worth playing.
But we've talked about, I mean, we've talked about the progressive movement really and where we are and where we're headed now. I heard something interesting, a couple clips. Glenn Beck, the Glenn Beck show, did something on this morning's show where he actually called, I don't know who he called or what specifically the game was, but he actually called a couple people. It sounded like they were random people from across the country, but he asked a couple people that I listened to that said, he asked them, what is socialism? People don't know what socialism now.
No, they have no idea.
I think one response he got was something about having to do with being social or socializing. No, it's but how, I mean, you're laughing, and it's kind of funny if you don't really read into it.
It's scary.
But how scary is that?
It is scary.
And that American citizens do not know what socialism is. Why is that not being taught in our schools?
Because it's not popular to teach that. But sadly.
I mean, well, we know why it's not being taught, but how scary is that, really? Where you could have we could become a socialist nation, and a lot of people won't recognize it. They don't understand what it is. They don't study it.
Well, and they think it's
dead. And our
dead.
founders warned us against this.
They think it's dead. That's the problem. They think it's not around anymore, and that we aren't going that way.
They know what it is, though.
No, I
agree.
agree
Know what
with
it is. I mean, everybody's heard communist, or at least everybody over the age of 20, I think.
Well, and if you look at especially USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic, communist country, socialist, the word's right in it.
Yeah, so is republic, but
Yeah, but it wasn't a republic like we are. And actually, when I did my little interview with the Occupy movement last week, and I talked to that one guy, part of that huge movement, we talked about socialism. I asked him if he knew what it is, and he really didn't. And we kind of went into it. And I said, well, how about this? You go to work at a job that you don't really like. You don't have that choice to go to whatever job you wanted to do. If you wanted to be a pilot, that decision's made before you're even 10. And then all the work that you do, the government takes almost all of it. You're left with a very small amount, if any. And you don't have the right to say how you feel. You don't have the right to protest against your government, which you're doing right now. You can do this. You may not like some of the local ordinances that are going with it, but constitutionally you're allowed to do this to a point. You can't obviously be in the building disrupting the workplace, but you can be outside all day long and you can do it, blah, 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 blah. He had no idea. And I'm like, there's a difference. You know what I mean? Do you want that? And he was like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, so what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And like I said, it was one guy, and he was an older guy. He was a nice guy. He wasn't a jerk at all. I almost felt like he just wanted to be a part of something, and that was the one that he just picked up on.
The Dungeons and Dragons group expanded that week, or what?
No, I think that's where they all were. I think they were all playing D&D, and he was like there holding the signs.
I didn't get the invitation.
But here's a man he had to be well into his 50s, and he didn't understand it. You know, and so that is scary. It is scary that it's almost sensationalized on some levels by certain groups, and it's not shot down and attacked.
It's not presented as socialism, or I mean, you have more and more people, though, now that are willing to come out and say
socialist,
as opposed to communist. Maxine Waters, you know, a couple of years ago made that gaffe. You know, what this liberal wants to do is socialize.
Hit the brakes.
What I mean is, but it's not as dirty a word as it has been in the past.
Well, it's not as dirty a word as communist, because that's what people's trying to avoid, the socialist communist. That word, and there's only a few people, so amazingly, some of them are really close friends with Obama, that will come out and say that they're communist. Van Jones, I believe.
He hasn't said it since he was in the administration or wherever he is now.
Which is even worse.
Foundation, right, but he said it before, I believe.
It's absolutely insane. And
the group he was affiliated with was a self-identified communist group.
Yeah. So it's scary. It's scary to me. So that was that piece. I thought that was worth sharing. You want to jump into Libya?
No, I never want to go to Libya. Why would I ever go to Libya? And if I did go to Libya, I sure as hell wouldn't jump into Libya. I'd probably let the plane land or something.
No, Libya's a mess.
You know what? I want to go back to the debates for a second, because Raditz actually asked a question about Libya, and it went to Biden. And I'm going to quote here. I have a transcript of the debates up. And what she asked was, what were you first told about the attack? Why? Why were people talking about protests when people in the consulate first saw armed men attacking with guns? There were no protesters. Why did that go? Why was that the story that was given? And Biden responded, because that was exactly what we were told by the intelligence community. The intelligence community told us that. As they learned more facts about exactly what happened, they changed their assessment. That's why there's also an investigation headed by Tom Pickering, a leading diplomat from the Reagan years, who is doing an investigation as to whether or not there were any lapses, what the lapses were, so that they will never happen again. And Raditz then, with a follow-up question, actually asking a real question, I was a little impressed, said, and they wanted more security there. Biden said, well, we weren't told they wanted more security there.
I wasn't.
No, he said we weren't told.
Okay.
I have the transcript right here. It says, well, we weren't told they wanted more security there. We did not know they wanted more security again. And by the way, at the time we were told exactly, we said exactly what the intelligence community told us that they knew. That was the assessment. And as the intelligence community changed their view, we made it clear they changed their view. You know what? We need Hillary Clinton to testify.
I agree with you totally.
Because obviously the intelligence community is going to be the scapegoat on this.
Yeah.
And probably the State Department is going to be made to look bad. And I'm curious to see what Hillary Clinton does.
Well, and, you know, Rooster wrote a good piece about this on conservativeoutcry.net. Pretty much thanked her in advance because he thinks that she may come, for one reason or another, to the podium and tell the truth.
Well, I think
we talked about this before the show.
We did. I think his assessment is correct because, well, for a variety of reasons. And if Rooster's calling tonight, I'll let him get into that. It's his article. But before we had our conversation and we were kind of talking about this, she has to testify. I knew that going into that. I think we talked about it. I read Rooster's piece. We talked about Rooster's piece. I like his assessment. I think it's very sound. Some of his logic and what he's saying. And I'll let Rooster present his opinion. And if he calls in, I don't want to talk on his behalf. If you want to know it, I'd rather not summarize it. You can go to conservativeoutcry.net and read his articles. It's very well written.
Trial.
But I don't see how she can not testify.
Well,
and I think Congress should subpoena her, whether she's going to go on her own and do it or not, like I know Rooster thinks she will. I think it's very important to hear her testimony. I think she may have other reasons for wanting to present it.
Yeah, political. We talked about that.
Yep. But I think that, I think we need to, I think we need to hear from the Secretary of State, as well as Leon Panetta.
Yeah, we definitely need to hear from Panetta. Well, let's hear what Rooster has to say, because I think he's on the line right now. Hey, Rooster.
Yeah, I'm on the line because I'm trying to get away from this woman talking over and over again. It sounds like she's saying childs, as if you two are childs.
No, women. Are you saying child, Sean?
No. It's not me, I swear. Child. It's not me. Child.
Is there like a haunting?
It's going to be on the backside of the feed, Rooster. We have zero sound going on in the background here, no TVs on, nothing. We don't have anything in the studio to do it with.
Yeah, no radio, and the studio is pretty stripped bare right now.
I'm not making it up because the other guys in the chat room hear it too, but it's just like a continuous loop. And Sean, my friend.
Maybe we're haunted.
In the words of Archie Bunker, you are so naive.
Why is that, lad?
You know, I haven't followed Joe Biden for a long time.
Yeah.
But, you know, as he's gained prominence, every speech that I've seen Joe Biden give, somewhere in the speech we get the, you know, I've known personal tragedy in my life too, and then the baby crocodile Joe Biden tears come out.
Right.
If you don't think that he went out on a mission last night, you are naive. Joe knew exactly what he was doing, and he wasn't playing to the independents. He wanted to just get his base going again. That was it.
Nanny, nanny, boo, boo, nanny, nanny, boo, boo.
Yeah, but I think part of that is because I think the real Joe Biden came out, and that's who they sent out.
No, that's not the real Joe Biden. That's
all
the
right.
real Joe.
I disagree. I've changed my stance on Joe. I used to think that he was a nice guy that made stupid political gaffes occasionally, was loudmouth and swore like a sailor, which I can't judge him for any of that because that's me in a way. But last night, just the look in his eye, and the what?
What, are you on a date with the guy? Listen, last night
I watched the debate like 4 times.
Hang on. The stars were out.
The stars were out. We walked along the beach.
It was. What are you saying? I mean, really, it was the look in his eye and the way he stared across the desk at me through the camera into my television. And I knew what was in his heart. I mean, come on, Sean.
No, listen, I knew I was going to take grief for that. I do. And I know a lot of people say that he's a super nice guy, and I expected him to come out and be a bulldog last night. I did. I expected him to push Ryan around a little bit. I expected him to hammer home the quote-unquote regime's talking points. But the more I watched him, the more I convinced that he was enjoying himself doing it, and that's who he was. That's just my point on that, Rooster.
Okay.
Rooster, I want. Sean's wrong, and you and I are right. So
yeah, that's true.
I want to get your take on.
Wait a minute. Did you and Rooster agree on something?
Yeah, we did.
We agree on a lot.
I know you guys agree. You guys are much more like.
Hey, Sean, who was the biggest mass murderer in history?
In history?
Yes, in history.
Do rulers of nations count?
Yeah.
Yes.
On what level? Lenin has to be up there somewhere, right?
I'm going to say Adolf Hitler or Mao.
No, it's
how about Pol Pot? Stalin.
Okay.
I really meant
same communist, different.
Sorry, I did meant Stalin.
That's socialism.
No, Lennon actually sang a bunch of songs. And
right, no, John Lennon was Yoko Ono. Right? I don't know how it was too confused.
Yeah, I don't know either. It was weird.
Imagine all the people getting shot. That was Lennon, right?
That was Lennon.
No, that is socialism. I completely agree with you, Rooster.
So what do you want,
Rooster, I'd like to hear your take, especially for our listeners. I didn't want to steal any thunder from you about what you think Hillary Clinton's play is.
Trial.
I think it's their only play. And first, I don't think Ryan. I heard a lot of talk that Ryan, didn't do so well. I thought he did fine.
I thought he did fine too.
I don't think he had a choice there. He wasn't gonna.
I think he won based on Biden's response and the way he conducted himself. I think that he and the way he maintained control and conducted himself properly, I think he actually boosted the Romney Ryan ticket.
Yeah, and I think so for a different reason. I was expecting a Joe Gaff, as you know, and I think
we were open.
In a way, you got it though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but they got caught. They got caught with this whole Benghazi affair.
Yes.
And it didn't match what they were putting out to the people that, the world is a great place and we're all going to hold hands and nobody's bad and look what we've done. Al-Qaeda's on the run. They're not out there anymore. Then all of a sudden our ambassador gets killed. So they try to blame it on a YouTube video, and then they send out Hillary and her people, and they tell her basically what to say. And I'm sure that's what's going on.
I agree.
Oh, of course. But now things are coming out that that's not the case, that there's some
and not only are they getting out, they're getting out to the mainstream media.
Yeah. Yeah, and
because they can't. In fact, the New York Times today was taken to task by one of their own editorial writers for not covering the story.
Well, good, as it should be finally. But I want to know, because they're setting up the intelligence community, and I think they're going to set up the State Department to take the hit on this, saying that they were not briefed in. And I don't think Hillary's going to let that happen.
Well, I mean, she's already not done it. They've already held a teleconference saying, look, we knew right away, we were getting real-time reports off the ground that this is what was going on. There was no protest.
Right.
She knew.
Yep.
Well, and I think it was Charlene Lim who said in the hearing a couple days ago on that they had somebody in the control room at that embassy who sounded the alarm almost immediately when the terrorists came through. They stormed the entry gate. They started setting things on fire.
No, the protesters were RGBs.
Right. What?
Protesters with rocket propelled.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said the protesters
RPGs, yeah.
Sorry. And he sounded the alarm immediately. That alarm goes to Washington and the local military, the local law enforcement. I know they had a detachment of Libyan forces that were on the compound. I know they had some security agents there, DSS security agents.
They had one. They had one with the guys.
They said there was 2 or 3 more, but they weren't inside the compound with him. I think they were over in the.
You talking about the SEALs?
No, the SEALs weren't even with them. They were just
no, the State Department security guys.
Okay.
Because they ended up, and part of her thing, her statement today is that they ended up, the guy that was with the ambassador ended up on the roof because of the smoke. He went in and out a couple times trying to get the ambassador and one of the intelligence officers that were there. And then eventually the other members of the security team came and got him, and they drove out and they encountered heavy fire as they were driving out in an armored vehicle with the Libyans. So she alluded to the fact that there was more than just one security. There was one security guy with the ambassador, but I think there was a couple more on the ground. Still not nearly enough for what they should have had.
No, because as Ryan pointed out, in France they have a detachment of Marines.
Right. Guarding the ambassador in France.
Yeah, like you need anybody guarding anything in France. The French aren't going to fight anything, okay? Yeah. Fuck you. I mean, come on.
But don't they have minimal requirements for embassies? It came out in the hearings this week that there are minimum requirements for security at embassies in hostile territories.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was her or Kennedy that tried to kind of steer that too, but it's on a area by area basis, and I think it was Chaffetz that turned around and hammered him, pretty much saying, Well, you're in Libya on the anniversary of 9/11. You had all this intel. They were put on maximum alert.
Yep, there was a prior attack.
There was a prior attack against assassination on the British ambassador.
Yep.
They'd blown the wall, or tried to blow the wall 3 weeks earlier, which was a test run to see if they could get through.
Yep.
That's exactly what that was. And, so why wasn't it increased? And they asked you to increase it. Why wasn't it?
Well, I mean, the whole debate was right there in the first 5 minutes, and Ryan had the chance for the knockout punch. He wasn't ready to do it.
Yeah.
If we could have put Newt Gingrich in a Paul Ryan suit last night, it would have been lovely. But he's not experienced enough to do it, and quite frankly, Raditz wasn't going to let him do it.
No, I don't think so either.
I thought it was funny that it was the first question.
I mean, they still wait back.
Yeah, get it out of the way. People are still waiting to tune in.
Exactly. The first question, she went at it and she gave it, maybe 5 minutes, and then we were gone. We were in Iran.
Yep. So I want to get back to Hillary then. So do you think, I'm just going to pull it out of you. Do you think that Hillary is going to sink the Obama-Biden battleship? That way sets up a Romney victory so that she can run in 2016?
I don't think that's what her purpose is, really. I'm not sure she's going to run in 2016 or not, but I do know that she still has political aspirations.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not going to take the fall for this.
No, she's not. And I believe that if she thinks Romney and Ryan are going to win or could win, I could see her, because Bill is not going to let her take the fall for this either. I could see her go ahead and laying it out for them. Hey, yes, I briefed the president. I briefed the vice president. This is what happened. I'm not taking the fall for this. Romney wins. She's set up for a 2016 run. Whereas if Obama wins, I think the state of the country would be such in that she will know after Obamacare is kicked in, we're starting to see some of the effects of that Democrats will not probably be elected in 2016 if you get another 4 years of Obama. Therefore, her shot would be a Romney victory. Maybe I'm thinking a little too sinister, but that's honestly what I believe that she's looking at right now.
That's an interesting take on it. That's not where I went with it. I think there's still some bad blood there.
Yeah.
Especially with Bill. Bill thought that, I put it in my article, Bill thought he played the race card, and Hillary's about to play a hand now. And I think Joe Biden knows it. I think Obama knows it. But there's not going to be a Raditz there to keep him out of harm's way forever.
There's not, and I believe Bill Clinton. I mean, if you notice, he was kind of campaigning with Obama a little bit at the convention, and then he did that one ad for him. Everybody said, "Oh, Bill Clinton's campaigning for Obama." He's been completely silent recently.
Yeah, he's jumped onto his world, his organization.
Yes, and I honestly think that. Look, the Clintons are very smart. They're very politically savvy, and I honestly think that they are discussing. Not that I have any inside information, but I believe that they're discussing letting the Obama-Biden ticket sink to get her back into the White House or in a better position for 2016.
Well, I wonder, too, though, if before they made that decision, if they were kind of on board and then Benghazi happened. I mean, it was probably already there. But then Benghazi happened. She knows damn well what a can of worms this is going to be.
Absolutely.
And and obviously Bill knows because
there was no excuse to I mean, now she can say there was nothing really there before that would have allowed her to do this. But now she can say, look, in 2016, I stood against my party. I'm a traditional Democrat. I stood up against I was part of this administration. I stood up against the cover-ups. I stood up against X, Y, and Z, and it puts her in a very powerful position in 2016, especially depending, if 4 years isn't enough to kind of undo the Obama mess that is going to start hitting. So I think it'd be very shrewd of her to to make that play for all those reasons, because not only does it give her an opportunity for 2016, but it bolsters her position of being a bipartisan, an ethical person who's able to stand up and kind of fight the powers that be to do the quote-unquote right thing.
But I don't think it comes out that way at first. I think there's a phone call to ISA that says subpoena me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. However it goes down, but I think that is a very strong possibility of being her play. What do you think?
Yeah, if in fact they tried to change the story like we all think they did, because it didn't fit their narrative, I think it's her only play.
Well, I don't think we all thought it. I think it's a fact now. They changed the story.
Yeah,
and it was for political expedience.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. He tried to play politics with this and make it he completely had the deflection up right away. They said, we can't have this in the election season. This is going to look terrible. Even if they legitimately did not know the circumstances right off the bat, they knew. They knew. Right. They knew it was an attack, and they tied it into a video because they got some garble over a communique a couple months earlier about the video, and they just exploited that. They went there and lied. And she has come out and had to tell a couple bull-faced lies on this. As time progressed, that first week they were all saying the same thing. As you pointed out, one of the last shows, they were on TV in Pakistan pretty much apologizing for it.
Yeah. And now look, it's opened up a narrative on freedom of speech and everything else, even at the UN.
So it has been such a debacle that it's biting them, and it's biting them hard. And it's going to be interesting to see what she does. Hey, Rooster, we're up against a break. Let's take a break, and we're going to come back and talk some more about Libya. All right?
All right.
I'll see you in a few.
All right.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. We often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, POLITIGAL Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. You said mention you, right?
Oh.
You totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegance and quality.
Professionalism at its finest. 347-205-9399. We're back. We're talking the Libya debates. More specifically, we're talking about what Secretary Clinton is going to do. And we have Rooster on the line. I don't know, Rooster, do you have anything else for us?
No, that's about it. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the piece.
Hey, no, it's a great piece as always. Check it out, conservativeoutcry.net, and the title of it was Thank You Ahead of Time, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
So
with a question mark.
So. Hey, Rooster, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, guys, find out what that sound is.
Yeah, we're going to work on it, I promise. When we get to the new studio, it's our personal Mecca. It'll be a lot better.
Mecca? Oh, no. Isn't that a Islamic world?
I knew that would work.
Hey, did you get a chance to see Obama's ring?
No.
Oh, you got to look it up.
Really? It's like a finger ring? Like this isn't a joke? This isn't like lemonparty.org where I'm going to search Obama ring and all of a sudden something awful's going to pop up.
Lemon Party, what's that?
How about search Obama ring Allah?
Okay, I'll check it out.
There is no God but Allah. Remember that.
I'm not searching anything Allah on any computer because I'm pretty sure we're already on about 7 different watches.
Maybe with the noises in the background.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. You hear in the chat or the Quantico.
There's some rumors about the ring that Obama wears on his wedding finger because it belonged to his father. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to check that out. Thank you for the hot
tip. It first came out to the blaze.
Well,
interesting.
They're good for dropping stuff like that. So, hot tip from Rooster. Let's all do the search. Rooster, we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Rooster.
See you guys.
Take care. Bye.
So check out the ring.
He does. Well, yeah, you can find out all kinds of stuff if you just type in that and the safe search is off. You know, he did some. Rooster does some very, very good articles.
Yeah, he does.
And that Clinton one was one I really enjoyed. We had a good article up this week on the website.
We did.
If you have a chance to check it out, go to sackheadsradio.com and read the article posted by Sackhead and Michaela. That's all I'm going to say on it. I'm not going to post it more or push it more than that.
No, it's our website. Push it.
No.
Okay, good. So, and it was funny. One of the narratives that changed decently in this. Why am I talking about the debate? We're already on the Libya
trial. You can talk about the debate. This is our show.
I know.
We can do. Here's the thing. This is what happens when we don't.
I know we don't plan.
We don't format. So literally meet like
one of the things that came
hours ahead of the show. It's awesome. Imagine what we could do if this was our real job.
That's too much work to imagine that. It's just too much work.
I wonder if it would still be fun.
One of the things that came up during the debate was the economy, and they got back and forth. And we know each side's agenda on the economy by now. It's not really a
secret.
It's not a secret anymore. Romney Ryan is a five-step plan, which I agree with. It seemed to work out well for JFK. And, they've been open about it. I love that people keep asking for details. And
now you're Jack Kennedy.
Right. Douchebag.
Oh, yeah, actually, you do sound like him.
Yeah, no, that's weird.
Yeah.
And I love the fact, too, that they didn't even take any sort of – it wasn't like they tried to make it their own. They're like, no, this is something that's been tried before. I mean, it hasn't been tried on the level that they want to do it. But, yeah, it's been tried and proven before. And as a matter of fact, it was somebody from your own party that did it.
Yeah.
And it was, it was JFK, President Kennedy, and Biden with his little comment. But one of the things that was missing was how much they went after the $5 trillion cut. And I thought it was weird because, the presidential debate, Obama nailed that a bunch of times. Well, $5 trillion was that going to $5 trillion, $5 trillion, $5 trillion. The very next day, Stephanie Cutter, who Ryan quoted, was on CNN, Aaron Burnett, and they were talking about it. And I want to play the clip for you.
Trial. Let me just play this one and then get your reaction.
When I got onto the stage, I met this very spirited fellow who claimed to be Mitt Romney. But it couldn't have been Mitt Romney. Because the real Mitt Romney has been running around the country for the last year promising $5 trillion in tax cuts that favor the wealthy. The fellow on stage last night said he didn't know anything about that.
Stephanie, let me ask you about that, because here at CNN, we fact-checked that $5 trillion in tax cuts, and we've come and said that that's not true. Mitt Romney's not promised that because he's going to also be closing loopholes and deductions. So his tax cut wouldn't be anywhere near that size.
So you're disputing the size of the tax cut? Are you disputing also how he's going to pay for it?
Well, we're disputing the size because he is going to be. Well, he's going to be
campaign, Aaron. He's campaigned on lowering tax rates by 20% for everybody, including those in the top 1%. That was one of the main selling points in the Republican primary.
Right. So you're saying if you lower them by 20%, you get a $5 trillion tab, right?
It's a $5 trillion tab.
But then when you close deductions, it's not going to be anywhere near $5 trillion. That's our analysis.
Well, okay, stipulated. It won't be near $5 trillion, but it's also not going to be the sum of $5 trillion in the loopholes that he's going to close. So it is going to cost someone, and it's going to cost the middle class. Independent economists have taken a look at this. There aren't enough deductions for those at the top to account for the number of tax cuts that they get because of Mitt Romney's policy. So you have to raise taxes on the middle class.
Well, they will say, of course,
it's just simple math.
Okay, they'll say though that you can do that. There are other studies. I know the one to which you're referring, but there's also the possibility of economic growth.
Aaron, prove it.
You can't prove either side, is all I'm saying. But the one thing that I can say is not true is the $5 trillion tax cut.
You can prove it. So then they should just say that they're counting entirely on economic growth to pay for a tax cut, which is an interesting theory because that's what George Bush did. And let's look at how that turned out.
They're not saying entirely. They're saying closing loopholes and economic growth, both. I mean, I understand you can agree with it. I'm just making the point of what
Aaron,
they're saying.
but that still leaves you at least $1 trillion short. That's all I'm saying. The math does not work with what they're saying, and they won't name those deductions. Not a single deduction that they will close because they know it's bad for their politics. Now, look. At the end of the day, this is the center. This is the core of Mitt Romney's economic policy. Last night, he walked away from it and said he didn't have a $5 trillion tax cut. He does. That's what lowering the rates amounts to.
Okay, so
well, I know
the only reason he wants to whether it's really a $5 trillion
say how he's going to pay for it.
But okay, all right. I think both of us have made our point on this. I want.
So, and then have you heard?
No, here's the facts. Nuh-uh. You can't prove it. Well, actually,
after that, and that was Aaron Burnett's show on CNN. After that, have you really heard anything about it? It didn't really come out last night. You know, he talked about it a little bit, but he took away that $5 trillion number. It hasn't really gone anywhere since. And I thought that was an interesting change from the presidential election to the vice presidential election. And maybe I missed it, and if I did, you can certainly call in and tell us. But I thought that was an interesting change. Obviously, it was weird to me that they didn't come out and hammer that, and it shows to me that they've kind of succeeded to the fact that they can't make that statement anymore. So that was my thought on that. Your thoughts?
Look, I think it was a great clip. I was stunned that a reporter from CNN actually hit him. She
got lit up on Twitter. Everyone was saying, "What are you trying to do? Apply for Fox?" Blah 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 blah. Like, how dare you?
Oh my gosh! See, and that's the problem.
I know.
A reporter actually does something,
but that's why a lot of people, I think, and a lot of people in the mainstream media don't do it, is because
they're bullied.
Right, they're bullied from their own people.
Yeah.
You know, the only person who doesn't get bullied that much, and it happens occasionally,
is Chris Matthews.
That's because nobody get a word in edgewise, like me when I'm drunk. Only I'm funny and people like me, and I don't look No, I do look like a tomato that's about to explode.
No, you actually...
No, actually, after a few drinks, I look the exact opposite.
Yeah.
But I think the only other person that can get away with that kind of stuff is Anderson Cooper. And he goes after some people on both sides occasionally. Not enough, and he could get away with it more, but I think he's on that channel so deeply that he knows he can't.
I think these reporters are so worried about what the crazy Uber left thing.
Oh, yeah.
That they don't like getting blown up on Twitter, but if they were to all actually be fair, and look, I understand you may lean one way or another, but you can still be fair. And if, like, in this case, she was being fair.
Yeah, absolutely was.
So if they were all conducted themselves that way,
yeah,
everybody on the Uber left would be like, well, okay, I guess they're actually fair. I mean, they can still have their leanings to one side or another or whatnot, but why do they give in to that crap?
Well, and here's one of the things that I see is for the last 3.5 years, they've thrown this administration softballs constantly. Carney's gone out and said whatever he's wanted to say, and it's not except for a few that aren't mainstream media that calls him to task. You know, we played that video with the capital of Israel and Jerusalem and the State Department and all that.
Yep.
And he, you know, he kept trying to sidestep it, and I forget the reporter's name, but the gentleman came out and put him to task and said, hey, no, she doesn't know what it means.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell her? You know?
And he still refused to.
And he still refused to because, you know, it's not part of the administration's agenda. But mainstream media for 3.5 years given him a pass, and now, especially with the Romney Ryan ticket that has picked up a little bit of speed, and the polling this week, I think Suffolk University came out with a poll that said, you know, you could pretty much write off Florida for Romney and a couple other ones, and, you know, the playing field's changing, and the polls are starting to get a little bit more level. Even the most leftist polls are starting to shift a little bit because they have to at this point.
Right.
Facts are facts. But you're also seeing that once they've picked up speed and then Benghazi hit, you're seeing these reporters from mainstream media who normally just sit there and suckle the teat of the administration. And in my opinion, I think that when the administration takes over all news, they're hoping to be put in the position of newscasters, but that's just me, starting to slide away and starting to leave themselves that wiggle room. So when this administration, or if this administration gets voted out, they have that ability to turn around and say, no, I took them to task too. Remember that time I asked this one question? What about the 3.5 years? Well, don't worry about that. I mean, you know, I was just kind of going along with the flow, but when things got serious, I stepped up. And mainstream media in general does not do that enough. And it's starting to come out more, but I wish they'd call him on Obamacare. They won't do it. You know,
of course not.
I think,
that's part.
I think during the debate, Paul Ryan had a great statement by saying they got their hands caught in the cookie jar, turning Medicare into a piggy bank for Obamacare, and that's proven. And even the Obama administration has said that they're taking that Medicare money and putting it into Obamacare, and they don't get called out on it. Like, hey, how long are you going to try to, you know, use the math with the same dollar twice, or do the math rather with the same dollar twice? You're counting that money twice. You can't do that. I can't go to the bank and count money twice and deposit it and have twice as much money as I really have. Why do they get to do it, and why does mainstream media get them to pass? It's absolutely ridiculous. I think the Benghazi thing, they're riding the tide of the country being completely disgusted with it, so they have to. But I don't think if Benghazi happened, I don't know if they would absolutely, if they'd still keep giving them the passes that they give. And it's sad to me that they called out Romney right away for politicizing this event, blah, 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 blah. And that's all they're doing. They're like, oh, we have to jump on this because people are pissed.
They actually did a cover-up for political purposes, it seems. And, but they are starting to be held accountable. But this is something that's so big. I mean,
you can't not hold them accountable.
You cannot not hold them
accountable. And the ones that don't are floating to the surface. You know, this should be bigger than Watergate, in my opinion. Just a casual observer, but in my opinion, this should be bigger than Watergate.
We'll see what comes out. I mean,
nothing's going to come out between now and November.
Oh, I disagree. Something will come out.
I'm hoping.
They've already started hearings and so forth. You have Granted, there's a few weeks left, but this isn't going away anytime soon. And I think we're only going to see it spool up, especially into next week.
Yeah, and you even saw with Fast and the Furious as big and the Holder and
the movie,
Holder being held in contempt, and they all walked out. And
I'm surprised he wasn't prosecuted. Oh yeah, never mind.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. All the mainstream media sided with the administration.
Of course.
And it was only a few people out there, The Blaze and Breitbart and a couple other ones that were like, hey, no, why should they get away with this?
Yeah.
I'm taking you to task, and mainstream media bowed down and just like, oh, this is just them going after finding a reason to make it political, blah, 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 blah. Republicans let Fast and Furious kind of get quiet and said, fine, you want this not to be about politics? We're not going to be able to do anything until after the election anyhow, just because of the way the system works. Fine, we'll throw that away. And then Benghazi comes up, and this administration said, well, we have to cover this up as soon as possible. Quick, find me a movie to blame it on. At first I thought it was going to be like Revenge of the Nerds. They were going to find something to get out there, you know what I mean? And unfortunately they found the movie that they used. But it's ridiculous how it's about popularity. You were one of the first people to point this out to me a long time ago, and I knew it, but I didn't know it on the level that I probably should have. Is they are the guardians of our republic.
Yep.
And it is their job to hold government on both sides accountable.
Yep.
And now you know as well as I do, if Romney Ryan gets elected, the first time they do something that's more right-leaning than mainstream media likes, they're going to blow them up.
Absolutely.
They're going to call them just uber conservatives, neoconservatives, this, that, and the other thing. They don't care about women. They don't care about this. And they're immediately going to start, and you watch, if Romney Ryan's ahead, they're going to be...
They are ahead.
Well, if they maintain the lead.
Look at Florida. Look at that couple polls came out that show them clearly ahead in
Suffolk
Florida.
University. They picked up points in a lot of places.
Yeah. And even, what is it, Idaho or Iowa, one of those, because of Biden's demeanor, because I guess rudeness is a big deal in that state. I don't remember which state it was, but an article I saw.
So you're going to see them holding them more accountable, and then especially if the Obama administration loses, they're going to be right back into election mode the second day after if Romney gets sworn in. They're going to be right into 4 years later. How are we going to get this guy out, and how are we going to get a lib back in there? And they're going to
But you know what? That's not going to matter if Romney
does the right thing.
Actually does the right thing and is able to turn things around. It's not going to matter.
But they're going to do
it. I think another narrative that's lost, and I know that Paul Ryan brought it up in the debate last night, but the point was not hammered home, is, hey, you had 2 full years of a Democratic-controlled Congress where we could not even filibuster, and what did you do?
Nothing. You worried about Obamacare.
You did
nothing else about the economy. You knew the economy was shrinking.
Yep.
All signs are pointing that it's still going down.
Yep. And what did you do about it? And I don't believe that
you spent more money,
and that has not been hammered home enough.
I think that's going to be during the next one.
I don't think the point has been hammered home enough about, hey, you said you were going to cut the deficit in half in your first term. You've added more national debt than all the other presidents combined.
Yeah.
And I've heard it a couple times, but I have not heard that message get hammered home. And I think that is something that resonates with a lot of people. I mean,
I agree with
that. Most people don't pay attention to the minutia. So they could go,
word of the day.
Thank you, minutia. High five.
High five.
So you can go and spit out all of these numbers like Biden. Oh, only $1 million income earners are going to be taxed. We know it's not the case. Obama administration's been saying, 250,000 individuals, 250,000 households. But that was quiet. I mean, that's one of those things Carney had to clean up earlier today. It's that minute detail is not going to get the attention like that, because most people are like, only those people are going to be taxed. Only
it was shocking how quick. I woke up this morning and I already saw a tweet that said, the statement of Vice President Biden in that regard does not necessarily reflect the entire administration. And I'm like, it's less than 10 hours later.
Right. But how many people pay attention to those numbers?
No.
How many people are going to watch Jay Carney give the press briefing or pay attention to those specific tweets?
Well, they'll watch Carney because they'll watch that because it's going to get slattered all over CNN, MSNBC. Right. His statement's going to die, but Carney's fixing of it and what he said he meant. You won't see him saying that, the 1 million. That won't be all over Twitter, or all over mainstream media, rather, and the internet. But Carney's explanation is
it doesn't matter either way, because people are not going to. They're going to think, well, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 million or $250 million because they're the top 2% of the taxpayers, so it doesn't matter. Whereas, so those talking points, I don't know that specific detail. I mean, yes, some people we like to hear those numbers,
right?
But for the average voter, I don't know that they do. They want to know their economy is getting better. They want to know that their government is taking care of the republic. I think that their liberties are being protected. That is something that they should be concerned about, I think. But most people do not right now, and it's unfortunate. They should, but they don't pay attention to those small details. And so I think sometimes Romney and Ryan have a tendency to get caught up in that, as opposed to dealing with the whole, hey, they could have fixed this.
Right.
They had 2 years where they controlled absolutely everything. They could have fixed it, and they didn't. Now how are you doing?
Right.
You know, Ryan hit Biden from his home state. Hey, what was unemployment there when you took office?
10%.
It was 8.5%.
Oh, it was, right.
You know, what is it now? 10%. And then Biden says, well, it's getting better. And,
right. Well, he said, yeah, I know, or something, absolutely, or something like that.
Hey, let's
take a last break, and then we'll come back.
Break.
If anyone wants to give us a call, 347-205-9399, and we'll take anything we talked about this evening. We'll be back in a minute with Sackheads Radio.
No, because I have something else to talk about.
No.
Yeah.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, POLITIGAL Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter at PolitigalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sackheads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sackheads Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
you going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. Good. You said mention you, right?
Oh.
You totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Hey, this is Clint. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for the last 11 minutes of the show or so forth. I want to touch on something back. That JFK clip that we played earlier when JFK was talking about a 20% tax cut.
It's actually 5 minutes left, but go ahead.
Yeah, whatever. They can pay to hear that other 6-minute content. Our subscription. Paul Ryan said during the debate, you can cut taxes by 20% and still preserve these important preferences for middle-class taxpayers. Biden said, not mathematically possible. Ryan, it is mathematically possible. It's been done before. It's precisely what we're proposing. Biden, it has never been done before. Ryan, it's been done a couple times, actually. Biden, it has never been done before. Ryan, my daddy can kick. No, he didn't.
Playground, 3 o'clock, go.
Ryan says, Jack Kennedy lowered tax rates, increased growth. Ronald Reagan, Biden, being the smartass. Oh, now you're Jack Kennedy. I think he was trying to have a whole you're no Jack Kennedy moment, and it failed. Ryan and they're interrupting. Biden says, this is amazing. And basically, it's Biden not understanding history, not understanding his own party. I mean, he chastised Ryan for even suggesting basically that Kennedy would come up with a plan like this when, as you heard the clip from Kennedy's own words, that's why we love going to sources and having source things.
I don't understand how you can be a politician today and argue with something that's readily available.